All passengers and crew are reported safe and sound as an Air France 777 heading to Paris from Seoul had to make an emergency landing in Russia. De facto Seoul ferry owner Yoo Byung-un's widow and eldest son renounced their inheritance rights to his fortune, but critics say they only did so to avoid paying compensation to the victims. And in the latest development in a washing machine tampering dispute at a trade show in Germany last year, LG Electronics executives face indictment. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, February 16th. I'm Luke Clary. An engine problem forced an Air France plane heading to Paris from Seoul to make an emergency landing in Russia. Thankfully, all passengers and crew members on board appear to be safe and sound.
An Air France Boeing 777 plane heading for Paris from Incheon made an emergency landing at Yekaterinburg Airport in Russia around 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, Korean time. One of the aircraft's two engines experienced a problem, forcing the pilot to land the plane with only one engine. The Russian airport authorities sent fire trucks to the nearby runway in case of a disaster, but luckily no incident requiring emergency rescue occurred.
Сообщил, что произошел отказ левого двигателя. Службы работы были подняты по тревоге. С 15:30 совершил посадку, все благополучно.
Local press reported that all 308 passengers and crew members on board appeared to be safe and sound. 270 of the passengers were Koreans. Most of them were tourists on their way to enjoy the Lunar New Year's holidays. Air France reported that the passengers are resting at a hotel provided by the airliner. Air France has sent its employees to Yekaterinburg Airport, where the plane had made an emergency landing, to investigate what had caused the engine failure.
The widow and elder son of the late Semo Group chairman and Seoul ferry owner Yoo Byung-un have officially renounced their inheritance rights, and their request has been accepted. But critics say that the two only did so to avoid paying compensation.
A court has accepted the inheritance disclaimer filed by the late Seoul ferry owner and Semo Group CEO Yoo Byung-un's widow, Kwon Yoon-ja, and elder son, Yoo Dae-gyun. Their request at first sparked a controversy over its violation of civil law. That's because inheritance disclaimers can only be filed within 3 months after the inheritor learns about the decedent's death. The court has accepted the request on the grounds that Yoo's elder son, Dae-gyun, learned about his father's death on July 25, 2014, after the National Forensic Service officially confirmed it. The prevalent analysis from judicial circles is that Yoo's wife and son refused their inheritance only to avoid paying compensation for the Seoul ferry disaster. Yoo's family can avoid compensation suits if they simply renounce their inheritance rights, because the ferry owner is now dead and the only people who can pay to cope with the disaster and its victims are the inheritors of Yoo's assets. As a result, Yoo's assets will be transferred to his elder daughter and younger son.
At a household appliance trade show in Germany last year, Samsung Electronics accused LG Electronics executives of intentionally damaging its washers on display. Now, Korea's two leading consumer electronics companies sued each other, resulting in an investigation, and the results are in. The prosecution will indict LG Electronics executives.
3 Samsung Electronics washers were found with their doors broken at an international consumer electronics trade show in Berlin, Germany last September. Samsung accused the head of LG Electronics Home Appliance Division and his fellow executives for vandalizing the washers. And LG countered by saying that the defect was the result of Samsung washers' poor product quality. The prosecution, which has been investigating the incident since the two sides sued each other, sided with Samsung Electronics. Prosecutors said that LG Electronics had intentionally damaged Samsung washers and then spread rumors as if there were problems with the appliances. 3 LG officials were indicted without detainment, including the president of the Home Appliance Division, identified only by his surname Zhou. In response, LG questioned whether there was enough evidence to prove that the washers were intentionally broken. Korea's second-largest consumer electronics maker added that the truth will be revealed in court, as the German prosecution had decided not to indict. The final decision will be left up to the court, but industry watchers are concerned that Korea's two electronics giants are competing too hard against each other instead of focusing on their foreign rivals.
On Monday, North Korea is celebrating one of its biggest holidays, Kim Jong-il's birthday. The reclusive state has disclosed rare images showing its current leader, Kim Jong-un, touring a construction site from a private jet in the skies over Pyongyang.
An airplane flies over the construction site of a residential complex in the Taedong River area in Pyongyang. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un observes the construction site through the window of the plane. Kim used a private jet to tour downtown Pyongyang, an unusual decision for such a short-distance flight. The disclosed images also show Kim Jong-un's office inside the jet for the first time. It was his third local guidance tour from an airplane. The jet is a Russian-made IL-62, which was also shown twice last year.
고소공포증을 앓던 김정일과 달리 김정은은 비행기를 타고 하늘에서 평양을 시찰함으로써 일하는 지도자, 젊은 지도자, 새로운 지도자라는 상을 인민들에게 부각시키고 있는 것으로 판단됩니다.
Events marking Kim Jong-il's birthday, such as a large national meeting held on Sunday, are in full swing in the north to express loyalty to the deceased leader.
Chinese parents are known to spare no expense when it comes to their babies, oftentimes their only child. Now Korean infant products are benefiting from China's one-child policy, as Chinese tourists who hold high regard for Korean baby products have emerged as free-spending shoppers at infant product stores in Korea.
The target is China's Little Emperor Syndrome, which powers the baby product market worth over $39 billion. With Korean companies entering the lucrative Chinese market in droves, the children's product section of duty-free shops in Korea are packed with Chinese tourists. This Chinese baby is dressed in Korean-made clothing from head to toe.
因为是直接贴着皮肤的，所以我们都选用那种韩方的。因为看韩国电视剧或者电影的话，里边那个宝宝穿的衣服都很精致，而且很豪华。
This infant bath product brand has increased the number of its outlets in duty-free shops from 5 to 18 this year and plans to enter the Chinese market as well. Baby clothing corners in department stores and large supermarket aisles are no exception.
我们经常都会在超市里面买得到韩国的海苔呀，还有那个大麦粉、大麦茶之类的饼干之类，他都会吃，很容易就买得到。
One supermarket chain frequented by foreign customers saw baby product purchases by Chinese shoppers spike by more than 23% compared to the same period last year. Korean-made infant products featuring high quality, safety, and great designs are leading the third wave of Hallyu.
Many seniors in Korea still grapple with illiteracy and the challenges that come with it. And for the first time, a Korean cooperative will offer to help Korean seniors who want to learn how to read.
The sound of people learning to read resonates through a town hall. Even holding a pen or pencil is a challenge for many, but these people try their best to write out words one letter at a time. Elderly women who used to have a hard time with tasks as simple as finding directions say their lives have changed since they began learning to read and write.
나가면은 뭐 간판도 모르고 이러다가 간판을 보고 병원에 가니까 이름 진짜 쓰겠고.
These residents take reading classes provided by a local cooperative. It was set up by educated locals who run the cooperative on contributions. Founded in September last year, the cooperative has now grown to include 5 classrooms, while the number of its students now surpasses 120. Last month, it acquired a permit from the Education Ministry, becoming the nation's first cooperative dedicated to promoting literacy.
사회와 소통되지 않는 분들이 있는 곳은 어디든지 저희가 찾아가서 직접 그분들을 만나고 그분들에게 사회와 연결될 수 있는 그런 통로의 역할을 하려고 합니다.
Thanks to this citizens cooperative, senior residents can make the first step toward better communicating with the world by learning how to read and write for the first time in their lives.
Shoppers crowded traditional markets and retail supermarkets all day Sunday to shop for food, clothes, and gifts ahead of the Lunar New Year's holiday, Seoul, this week.
The long and slender rice cakes are steaming as they're continuously squeezed out of the machine. In another corner of the market, savory pancakes are fried in endless amounts. Every kiosk is filled with nicely packaged foods for ancestral rituals, and aisles are lined up with customers looking to prepare a commemorative meal for their ancestors.
재래시장이 매일매일 가가 봐가오니까 엄청 싱싱하고 대형마트 못 비하지.
The economy is not great and prices have gone up, but the generosity of the vendors is the same as the old days. Shops selling the traditional Korean attire, hanbok, are also busy. A growing number of Koreans are seeking out the traditional garb for the lunar holiday.
양가 어른들한테 인사도 좀 시키고 조금 있으면 돌잔치거든요. 여기 이쁜 한복이 많다 그래서.
Retail supermarkets were also crowded on the weekend, with people buying gifts for family and relatives.
평소에 잘 찾아뵙지 못하고 해서 친정하고 시댁 줄 선물 준비하려고 나왔습니다.
Shoppers and sellers alike teemed with excitement on Sunday, with one of Korea's biggest holidays just days away.
The solo number Crazy by boy band SHINee member Jonghyun was named the most globally watched K-pop music video last month. This and much more in our Culture News Roundup.
The song Crazy or Guilty Pleasure, released by boy band SHINee member Jonghyun last month, has topped the Billboard K-pop rankings for worldwide YouTube views in January. Crazy was the most watched K-pop music video in the US last month, while Deja Vu, also by Jonghyun, ranked 6th. Jonghyun's solo album Bass also topped the Billboard World Albums chart on January 31st. The SHINee member's solo action has been gaining serious traction. The hip-hop trio Epic High will stage a concert tour in 8 Japanese cities, including Tokyo, this May. It's the group's second concert tour in Japan, and their first Japan tour that kicked off last November. Epic High sold out tickets for all of its performances. Hip-hop boy band Block B will meanwhile perform in 4 European nations, including France and Italy. They will perform once each in France, Finland, Poland, and Italy, starting in Paris on February 27th. The group's management agency says their original plan of performing in 2 countries was expanded to 4, following requests from local fans conveyed through smartphone apps.
The best way to get your vitamin D is through sunlight exposure. And in wintertime, when people tend to spend a lot more time indoors, vitamin D deficiency is a common problem. Here's how to prevent it.
When the weather is cold outside, you're more likely to sustain bone fractures from slips and falls. This patient has been diagnosed with osteoporosis caused by vitamin D deficiency.
바이타민 D는 우리 몸에 칼슘하고 인산의 대사작용에 관여돼서 뼈로 가는 그런 이동 경로에 중요한 역할을 하게 되는데
Simple exposure of the skin to ultraviolet rays is enough to produce vitamin D. But in wintertime, it's too cold to spend a lot of time outdoors. Plus, the sun goes down too early.
점심시간 말고는 햇빛 보기 힘들어요.
Lunchtime is probably the only time slot in winter when you can get enough sunlight. Vitamin D deficiency stemming from the lack of sun exposure can cause a number of illnesses.
감기나 독감, 폐렴, 비염, 그리고 이제 류마티스 관절염 같은 이제 면역성 질환이 악화되기도 합니다.
Insomnia is one of the health problems caused by vitamin D deficiency because it can disrupt hormonal balance. Here's how to get adequate amounts of sunlight in winter.
짧은 시간 안에 좁은 면적에서 햇볕을 효과적으로 받으려고 하면은 정오 무렵에 야외 활동을 1-2시간 정도 하시는 게 좋겠고요.
Many people apply sunscreen to their skin or wear hats to block ultraviolet rays, which they consider to be the culprit of aging.
낮은 지수의 자외선 차단제를 사용함으로써 충분한 양의 비타민 D도 합성하고 피부암 발생도 억제할 수 있는 두 가지 효과를 다 누리실 수가 있겠습니다.
If you tend to spend too much time indoors, make sure to check your vitamin D levels through blood tests. If you can't spend enough time outdoors, take vitamin D supplements or food containing the vitamin.
동물성인 경우에는 참치, 정어리와 같은 등푸른 생선과 그 연어에 많이 함유되어 있습니다. 우유나 계란 노른자에도 비타민 D가 함유되어 있고요.
Exercising outdoors 2 or 3 times a week in the sun is essential for the body to produce vitamin D. So you'll have to work extra hard in the frigid winter.
Now let's take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.